One of the things is that we've got ageing, so we would expect an ageing population to double by 2030 from 600,000 to 1.1 million. But most of those people, of course, would be Pākehā. So Māori Pacifica populations, much younger, Asian populations, a little bit younger, and we've got this split. So the old people will largely be white old people and living in parts of the country that will be retirement zones, so there'll be a lot of them. We do need to anticipate that, and the question is for the younger generations is how much do they pay to keep these old people safe, to give them a retirement income, and of course to keep them healthy. So that's one thing that we should be looking at. The second thing is, should we distribute the population around the country? Do we want 40% people in Auckland, or do we want people to be, particularly younger people, to be retained in the regions and in the other cities? The dependency ratio, so that's the number of people who are in work who will be able to support the older people, both in terms of a tax transfer, but also, of course, just to, as we talk about, somebody to wipe their chin. You know, there's a whole lot of stuff that will need to be done. And are those jobs going to be done by Filipino workers that we bring in, or will they be done by locals? Well, if you look at some parts of the country which are ageing, like the west coast of the South Island or the Kapiti coast, or Thames Coromandel, already the dependency ratio, the ratio of people in work versus the people who are not in work, and they could be young people as well as old people, is changing. And for some regions, it's heading to 1-to-1. Well, we've never had that before. The two countries that are the oldest in age structure are Japan and Germany. And I was in Germany last year during the election, and the weird thing is that immigration didn't get a lot of airtime and the ageing of the population didn't get a lot of airtime, because already Germany's facing that crunch point where they don't have enough workers entering the workforce, so starting out in work compared to the old people. Japan's even further down the track, and of course Japan's in an interesting position because it is not very welcoming to immigrants. So they're going to have to find workers from somewhere, and typically they would go to other parts of Asia to get those workers. But Japan's pretty cautious about that. So to answer your question of where should we be looking in terms of what other countries are doing, no, countries are really struggling with this. And it's gone from what is called a demographic dividend. So when the baby boomers enter the workforce, there's this big explosion in the number of workers. So that produced economic returns for New Zealand. But those baby boomers are now going into retirement, so they are becoming a liability in terms of costs rather than economically active. And it's how you fill up those younger cohorts. We don't want them going overseas, we don't want them going to Australia, and we probably don't want them leaving the regions. So some of the regions, like Hawke's Bay, sees an exodus of people in their 20s and early 30s, and they don't get them back. So that's not healthy. So are there things we should be doing to try and keep people in the regions? And that's really about jobs.